Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, spiritual seekers, and dreamers of a better tomorrow, have you ever felt stuck, like the weight of your past was too heavy to carry into your future? Have you ever looked in the mirror and silently asked, "Is this all my life is meant to be?" If that sounds like you, then hear me now, because in the next few minutes, I am going to reveal one divine word, a word so powerful, so spiritually aligned, that it can reset your destiny in just 48 hours. Florence Scovel Shinn was one of the earliest teachers to boldly state what spiritual masters had known for centuries: your words create your world. This is not just a poetic idea or a sweet metaphor for positive thinking. It is a divine law, spiritual, mental, and vibrational, that governs the unfolding of our lives. What we continually say, affirm, declare, and expect with our words directly shapes our experiences, relationships, opportunities, and ultimately, our destiny. Every word spoken carries vibration. Vibration is energy, and energy is the raw substance of creation. The universe, God, or infinite intelligence does not respond to your begging, hoping, or even effort alone. It responds to your vibration, and your vibration is shaped and directed most powerfully by your spoken word. Florence said it best: your word is your wand. This means that your words are not casual. They are not meaningless. They are creative forces that call into existence the unseen. Just like a magician waves a wand and commands something to appear, you wave your words into the spiritual substance of the universe, and reality must eventually follow. If you continually say, "I can't afford that," the universe arranges circumstances that confirm it. If you often declare, "Nothing ever works out for me," then life mirrors that sentence. If you repeatedly say, "I'm unlucky," "I'm stuck," "I'm too late," or "I'm not enough," those words don't disappear into the air. They are planted like seeds in the field of your life, and what is planted will grow, whether you're conscious of it or not. But the same power that creates limitation can create liberation. The same tongue that declared defeat can declare victory. The same voice that once spoke fear can now declare faith. And that's where the divine word comes in. This is why when you speak a word like divine, something begins to shift immediately. The word carries a higher vibration, a sacred frequency, a resonance that aligns you with something greater than yourself. The moment you begin to consciously replace destructive self-talk with divine declarations, you initiate the process of resetting your life. This shift does not always happen in the form of immediate physical manifestations, though that is very possible. But what changes right away is your energetic atmosphere. And once your atmosphere changes, your outcomes change. The word, divine, activates what Florence called divine right order. It calls in the things that belong to you by spiritual law, not by human struggle. The moment you say, "I now align with divine order," you are literally commanding the universe to correct, redirect, and realign what's been out of place. You may not see it with your eyes within minutes, but the reordering begins in the invisible realm instantly. This is why so many people experience miracles within 48 hours. Not because the divine is slow, but because we are often resistant. We don't believe in the power of our words. We cancel out our faith with fear. We speak one affirmation in the morning, and 5 doubts by the afternoon. But when you commit, just for 48 hours, to speaking no word that contradicts your highest good, and instead anchor yourself in divine truth, your entire vibration shifts. It is important to understand that words are more than communication. They are commands. Florence's prayers and affirmations were never passive. She didn't beg the universe, she declared. She didn't plead for success, she spoke it as if it were already done. This is the power of aligned speech. When you speak in alignment with divine law, your word is as powerful as law itself. When you repeatedly declare, "Divine supply now meets every need," "Divine love now surrounds me," "Divine guidance leads me step by step," You are not simply hoping something good will happen. You are setting into motion the spiritual machinery of destiny. In the spiritual world, time operates differently. What looks like a sudden miracle in 48 hours may be the culmination of divine forces that were waiting for your command. You don't have to chase, hustle, or force your way to the next chapter of your life. You only need to align your word with truth. But alignment requires consistency. It requires intention. It requires faith, and faith speaks what it cannot see, until what is spoken becomes visible. Florence Scovel Shinn proved through thousands of testimonies that this principle works. People declared divine words and saw lost opportunities return, debts erased, health restored, lawsuits won, and love returned to cold marriages. All because someone dared to use their divine word like a wand and speak it into the chaos until it created clarity. So I ask you, what if, for the next 48 hours, you only spoke that which was aligned with your highest good? What if you paused every complaint and replaced it with a divine affirmation? What if every time fear spoke, you responded with faith? What if every time doubt whispered, you shouted back with the word, divine? You don't need 10 years. You don't need a guru. You don't need anything outside of you. What you need is already in your mouth. Speak your way out. Declare your way forward. Reset your destiny with your words. It is not magic. It is spiritual law. In the end, your words are not just expressions. They are creations. Whether you realize it or not, you are already creating your life with the sentences you speak daily. The good news is that you can change the script, and by doing so, change the storyline. Florence Scovel Shinn showed us that you can literally reprogram your destiny by speaking words of divine truth. And when you commit to declaring divine words consistently, especially the word divine, you initiate a reset that begins to work in unseen ways, often showing visible shifts within just 48 hours. So speak with power, speak with purpose, and speak with the authority of someone who knows. Your destiny begins with your word. There is a word that carries the highest vibrational energy known to the human spirit. A word that doesn't just sound beautiful, but transforms the very field around you when it's spoken with faith and conviction. That word is divine. It is not a casual word. It is not a word to be whispered without reverence. It is a spiritual command, a code, a portal, one that instantly shifts you out of chaos, confusion, and conflict and places you in alignment with divine law, the higher order of the universe. Florence Scovel Shinn understood the power of this word better than most. In her writings, she used it deliberately and repeatedly. Divine love, divine right timing, divine guidance, divine justice, divine supply. Why? Because she knew that by speaking this one sacred word, she was invoking the unseen order of spirit, the force that governs the universe far beyond the logic of man-made systems or the limitations of the ego. The word divine acts as a spiritual key. The moment it is spoken, you are no longer operating by the rules of limitation, scarcity, or survival. Instead, you step into a field governed by grace, ease, favor, and perfect timing. You activate the laws that make miracles seem normal and synchronicity your daily experience. Divine law does not follow the rules of the world. It transcends them. What looks impossible under human conditions becomes inevitable under divine alignment. When you say, "Divine order is now established in my life," you are not begging the universe. You are declaring an alignment with a higher intelligence that already knows the perfect unfolding of your life. From relationships, to money, to health, to your spiritual calling. When you say, "I now move by divine right action," you are no longer operating from fear, doubt, or overthinking. Instead, you are guided moment by the spiritual GPS that never fails, because it's connected to the source of all wisdom. To invoke the word, divine, is to invite correction, elevation, and perfection. If something is broken, the divine can fix it. If something is delayed, the divine can speed it up. If something is blocked, the divine can clear the path. But none of these changes can happen if we are not aligned. And alignment happens the moment we speak with intention and spiritual authority. You may wonder, how can such a simple word hold so much power? It's because words are carriers of vibration, and the word, divine, is pure, undiluted truth. It harmonizes every thought, every fear, every doubt the moment it is introduced into your consciousness. It realigns you, and when you are aligned, your outer world must reflect that inner shift. There is no delay in spiritual law. Only our belief in delay creates it. The word divine corrects even that. It collapses the illusion of separation and reconnects you to the power you were born with. The power to co-create with the infinite. In the course of 48 hours, speaking this word intentionally, over your day, over your decisions, over your relationships, over your money, can completely rewire your life path. That is not exaggeration. That is energetic fact, because the more you speak it, the more your energy changes. And when your energy changes, your reality must follow. Florence used to affirm, "What is mine by divine right cannot be taken from me. It is irresistibly drawn to me, under grace, in perfect ways." She understood that the divine doesn't work by effort or exhaustion, but by alignment. The word, divine, is the magnet. It draws to you what you no longer have to chase. It releases what is not yours. It protects you from detours. It positions you for your destiny. But here's what's most important. You don't need to feel powerful for the divine to work. You only need to declare it. It is not your emotion that creates. It is your alignment with truth. Even if you are scared, anxious, or uncertain, the moment you begin to speak the divine into your life, you start the recalibration process. You shift from human confusion into divine clarity, and clarity always brings results. In moments of confusion, say, "Divine wisdom now lights my path." In times of financial lack, say, "Divine abundance now flows to me." When facing illness or exhaustion, declare, "Divine health is my birthright." When you feel rejected, abandoned, or misunderstood, remind yourself, "Divine love is with me now." Each time you say it, the universe listens, because the universe responds to frequency, not begging. Your voice becomes the spiritual instrument through which heaven rearranges earth. But make no mistake, this is not magic. It is law. Just as gravity doesn't fail, divine law does not fail. The only question is, are you aligned with it or not? And if you're not, all it takes is one word, spoken repeatedly with intention and faith, to get back in harmony with your highest path. The word, divine, is more than a word. It is a frequency, a vibration, a doorway into the perfect reality that has always been available to you. The moment you speak it, you are lifted out of confusion and into clarity. You are pulled out of fear and into faith. You are no longer lost. You are divinely guided. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that life doesn't respond to effort, it responds to alignment. And the fastest way to align is through your words. So speak divine, not once, not occasionally, but consistently, for 48 hours with faith. Say it until your mind believes it. Say it until your energy shifts. Say it until divine order takes over. And when it does, don't be surprised when your destiny begins to reset before your very eyes. There is a spiritual truth that many people overlook, yet it has the power to transform your life faster than any external action, strategy, or effort. That truth is this: your words, spoken with faith for even a short period of focused time, can shift the direction of your life entirely. You don't need years. You don't need to climb a mountain or go on a long pilgrimage. You only need 48 hours, 48 hours of unwavering, intentional, and spiritually aligned words, to experience a radical reset in your destiny. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that the universe is always listening, always responding, and always rearranging itself to match the vibration of your dominant thoughts and declarations. And the way we anchor those vibrations into our reality is through the spoken word. What you speak with conviction becomes law in your life. Your affirmations are not empty phrases, they are spiritual declarations. When you affirm something with total belief and clarity, you command the creative energy of the universe to begin reshaping the world around you. So imagine what would happen if you committed to 48 hours of pure, intentional divine affirmations. No complaints, no contradictions, no speaking of fear, failure, or doubt, only divine truth. For 48 hours you replace every negative impulse with a declaration of divine love, divine order, divine supply, divine protection. That commitment alone would elevate your vibration so significantly that your external circumstances would have no choice but to shift. People underestimate how much power they give away by speaking unconsciously. They say things like, "I can't do this," or "nothing good ever happens to me," or "it's too late for me," and then wonder why life keeps confirming that story. But the truth is, life will always reflect your most persistent declarations. The universe doesn't respond to your wishes, it responds to your word. And when your words are in harmony with divine law, time bends, obstacles dissolve, and what once felt impossible becomes inevitable. During those 48 hours of focus, something profound happens in the unseen realm. Your mind begins to rewire itself, your energy field shifts. You start vibrating at a frequency that aligns with the version of you who already has the answer, the healing, the opportunity, the breakthrough. Because in truth, that version of you already exists, in a higher timeline, and your job is not to force your way there, but to align with it. That alignment happens through repetition, through intention, through the sacred act of affirming spiritual truth again and again, until your entire being accepts it as real. Florence Scovel Shinn referred to this as spiritual reconditioning. She taught that you could rewrite any condition in your life by continually speaking the truth of what you desire, not as a hope, but as a present reality. When you say, "I now walk in divine right action," your body begins to feel more confident. Your decisions become clearer. Synchronicities appear. You don't even realize it, but the world starts to organize itself around that vibration. When you say, "Divine supply is mine now," your subconscious begins to expect abundance. Opportunities seem to find you, resources flow more easily, and people show up to support you. It's not a coincidence. It's the power of focused faith. It's important to understand that this isn't about blind repetition. It's about speaking with belief, with heart, with spiritual authority. The reason 48 hours is so effective is because it creates a container for consistency. Most people start a spiritual practice, but within a few hours, they fall back into old patterns. They declare abundance in the morning, but speak of scarcity by lunch. They affirm love one day and doubt it the next. That inconsistency weakens their vibration. But when you say, "For 48 hours, I will not let one contradictory word leave my mouth," you become a spiritual force. Think about the power of 48 hours in other areas of life. 2 days of focused training can bring breakthroughs in athletics. 2 days of concentrated creativity can spark genius. 2 days of silence can reset the nervous system. And in the spiritual realm, 2 days of speaking only divine affirmations can shift your trajectory entirely. It is like stepping out of one timeline and into a better one. This is not something that works only for the spiritually advanced. It is universal law. Whether you are at the lowest point of your life or already thriving, this principle applies. The word, divine, carries no judgment. It responds to your faith. It doesn't matter how long you've been stuck, how many mistakes you've made, or how hopeless things appear. The moment you begin to affirm divine truth, the reset begins. Say it with conviction. "I now align with divine love. Divine right timing is working in my favor. All that is mine by divine right now reaches me. I am divinely protected, divinely guided, and divinely supported. This situation is now resolved through divine order." When you fill 48 hours with words like these, not empty repetition, but powerful intention. Everything changes. You'll feel different. You'll carry yourself differently. And the world will respond differently. Because the world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you are aligned with. And alignment begins with your word. Conclusion. In just 48 hours of focused, faith-filled affirmation, you can shift the very timeline of your life. You can move from confusion to clarity, from limitation to liberation, from fear to faith. Florence Scovel Shinn knew that words are not merely sounds. They are spiritual tools. And when used correctly, they become divine instruments of transformation. You don't need to force anything. You don't need to chase success. You only need to speak your truth with the full force of your soul for 48 hours and watch as your destiny begins to reset before your very eyes. The power is in your mouth. The timeline is waiting. Your new life starts with the next word you speak. There's a hidden spiritual law that governs the unfolding of our lives, and most people never even realize it exists. It operates silently, precisely, and with absolute fairness. It is not swayed by emotion, effort, or social status. It doesn't respond to begging or to manipulation, but it is always in motion, guiding, correcting, and aligning things for your highest good when you allow it to. Florence Scovel Shinn called this principle divine right. Divine right timing, divine right action, divine right relationships, divine right opportunities. This concept is not mystical or vague. It is a spiritual principle of perfect justice, order, and alignment that resets your entire destiny when you invoke it with faith. We often operate from the limited view of human understanding. We want things now. We chase relationships, careers, money, status, sometimes pushing so hard we break things that were never meant for us or delay what was already ours. We believe that our value is tied to how much we can force into place. But in truth, what is ours by divine right cannot be taken, delayed, or denied. And when we align with that truth, the pressure lifts, the struggle softens, the noise quiets, because we realize what is meant for us flows with ease, not force. Florence repeatedly affirmed, "What is mine by divine right is now released and reaches me in great avalanches of abundance, under grace in perfect ways." That wasn't wishful thinking. It was a spiritual declaration backed by universal law. She understood that divine right is the highest form of justice, the kind that takes into account what the human mind can't yet comprehend. It sees what's ahead. It understands what's being protected. It moves with precision. You may not always understand the delay. You may wonder why something hasn't worked out, or why someone left your life, or why you're still waiting on an opportunity you've prayed for. But when you affirm, "Divine right timing governs my life," you shift from resistance to trust. You begin to believe that nothing is ever truly lost, only realigned. Sometimes, the very thing you're chasing is being blocked because it would distract you from your greater assignment. Sometimes what you thought was rejection was actually protection. Divine right doesn't mean things are always easy, but it does mean they are purposeful. It means that what unfolds is ultimately for your highest growth, your greatest unfolding, and your clearest path forward. When you align with divine right, you stop chasing people. You stop proving your worth. You stop fearing that you've missed your moment. Because divine law is exact. What is truly yours will circle back again and again until it reaches you, so long as you stay in spiritual alignment. But here's the key: you must call it in. Divine law does not override your free will. It waits for your word. The moment you declare, "I now receive all that is mine by divine right," you open the spiritual gates. You give permission for justice, clarity, and perfect timing to take over where chaos and confusion once ruled. This is why the word divine is so powerful. It isn't just a description, it's an activator. When paired with right, it forms a spiritual command. Divine right neutralizes fear. It replaces doubt with confidence. It reassures you that the universe is never working against you. It's only ever aligning with your highest good. People often struggle because they confuse timing with denial. They believe that if something doesn't happen instantly, it's not meant for them. But divine right operates beyond the clock. It exists in the realm of perfect unfolding. You may plant a seed and not see fruit for months, even years. But when the harvest comes, it will be so abundant, so aligned, and so undeniably yours. You'll realize it wasn't delayed. It was perfectly timed. In the next 48 hours, as you begin to speak only that which aligns with your destiny, begin to affirm divine right in every area of your life. If you're in conflict, say, divine right justice is now established. If you're unsure about a decision, say, divine right action now directs me. If you're longing for connection, declare, divine right relationships are now appearing in perfect ways. You may not see the result instantly, but you will feel the shift. That's where the miracle begins. It starts in your vibration, and then it shows up in your life, often faster than you imagined. Because when you step into divine right, you're no longer working against the current of life. You're flowing with it. Florence taught that what is not yours will fall away, but what is yours will come, sometimes after detours, sometimes after apparent loss. But it will come, and it will come with confirmation, peace, and grace, not with begging, not with confusion, not with emotional exhaustion, because the divine does not operate through desperation. It operates through truth, justice, and alignment. You must trust that your soul has not forgotten what it came here for. Your heart knows the way. Your spirit is always guiding you toward what is truly yours. But your job is to speak it, to call it into form through your words. The phrase, divine right, is your invitation to the highest possible outcome in every situation. It is your way of saying, I step back and allow the greater wisdom to lead. I no longer force. I align. The principle of divine right is one of the most powerful spiritual truths you can apply in your life. It teaches you that what is yours cannot be lost. What you seek will find you when the timing, conditions, and alignment are right. It teaches you patience without passivity, trust without fear, and confidence without arrogance. Florence Scovel Shinn knew that when we invoke divine right with intention and faith, everything begins to reorganize in our favor. And when you declare this truth continuously for even 48 hours, you will feel your destiny begin to reset. The universe is not silent, it's waiting for your word. Speak it, claim it. Align with divine right, and watch your life flow into its highest form. There is one great enemy to your destiny: fear. It whispers that you're not enough, that you're too late, that what you want is too big, too unrealistic, or too far away. Fear doesn't shout, it creeps. It speaks in your own voice, disguising itself as caution, logic, or even humility. But make no mistake, fear, doubt, and delay are the greatest thieves of dreams. They paralyze your spirit, freeze your potential, and cause you to settle for less than what you were divinely assigned to have. But there is an antidote, and it lies in a single, sacred word: divine. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that nothing can stand in the presence of divine truth. The moment you invoke the word, divine, you activate a spiritual force that has the power to dissolve every illusion of fear and doubt instantly. It's not merely a comforting word. It is a frequency of truth, protection, and alignment that overrides the mental chatter of fear. Where fear tells you to shrink, divine declares expansion. Where fear suggests you will fail, divine assures you that you cannot miss what is rightfully yours. Where doubt clings to what ifs, divine whispers, what is meant for you is on the way. We must understand that fear is not just emotional, it is vibrational. It lowers your energy, clouds your thinking, and disconnects you from your spiritual center. When you're in fear, you're misaligned. You're operating from separation, from the belief that you're alone, unsupported, or in danger. But the moment you speak the word, divine, you shift that frequency. You move from separation back into unity. You reconnect with Source. And in that space, fear dissolves. Imagine you're standing in a dark room filled with confusion, worry, and panic. Now imagine flipping on a light switch. That light doesn't fight the darkness. It simply replaces it. That is what divine energy does to fear. It doesn't argue with it. It doesn't need to convince you. It simply takes over. Divine energy illuminates your mind, settles your heart, and restores your inner compass. This is why the word divine is so powerful. You can speak it aloud in moments of panic and immediately feel your body begin to calm. You can write it, repeat it, or declare it when your mind races with worry, and you will sense a shift, not just emotionally, but energetically. It's not imagination, it's alignment. Florence taught that every problem has a spiritual solution, and that solution begins with neutralizing fear. She didn't encourage people to fight fear directly. Instead, she taught them to rise above it, to override it. And the fastest way to do that was to speak a higher word, to declare what was true in spirit, even when the outer world appeared contrary. She wrote, "Fear is man's only enemy. It is faith turned inside out." This means that fear and faith operate on the same principle, belief in the unseen, but in opposite directions. Fear imagines the worst, faith expects the best, and your words determine which path you activate. When you say, "I am afraid," you strengthen the illusion. But when you say, "I am divinely guided," you reconnect to the truth. Delay is another form of fear in disguise. It's the belief that things aren't happening, that nothing is working, that time is against you. But Florence insisted that delay is not denial. Often what we call delay is simply divine timing rearranging things in your favor. But you can only perceive that if you're in alignment. And that's why the word, divine, is so powerful. It brings your mind and spirit back into harmony, with a greater plan, a higher truth, and a better outcome. When you say, "Divine timing is never late. Divine order is now established. Divine supply meets my every need," you are not only calming your nerves. You are resetting your entire vibrational field. You are anchoring yourself in faith, which is the only antidote to fear. And from that place, you don't just survive the delay, you grow through it. Your destiny doesn't need you to be fearless. It needs you to be faithful. It needs you to speak the divine word, even when your voice shakes. Because the more you speak it, the stronger it becomes in you. You begin to embody it. You begin to live as someone who knows they are protected, guided, and held, no matter what. That is when delays disappear. That is when doubts lose their grip. That is when miracles begin to move. When fear says, "It's not going to happen," you say, "Divine law is working now." When doubt says, "You're not ready," you say, "Divine wisdom prepares my path." When delay says, "It's taking too long," you say, "I trust divine timing." And then, stay silent. Don't argue with fear. Don't negotiate with doubt. Just stay aligned. Let divine energy do what it always does, make a way where there is no way. Conclusion: fear, doubt, and delay are not signs that you're losing. They are signs that you're on the edge of a breakthrough. But that breakthrough can only come if you neutralize those lower energies with something higher. And the word, divine, is the highest frequency you can invoke. It is a shield, a compass, and a sword all at once. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that you don't fight darkness, you speak the light. And in just 48 hours of consistent divine affirmation, you can break the spell of fear, replace doubt with deep spiritual confidence, and dissolve every delay that has been holding back your good. Say it again and again: divine, divine, divine. Speak it until fear has no place to live in you. Speak it until your energy matches your destiny. The shift is real, and it begins with the words you choose in this very moment. So many people walk through life believing their destiny is set in stone, as if they've been dealt a hand they must accept, no matter how limiting, painful, or unfulfilling it may be. They speak phrases like, "It is what it is," or "Maybe it just wasn't meant for me." But Florence Scovel Shinn taught something radically different. She taught that destiny is not predetermined by luck or chance. It is created, shaped, and activated through conscious choice, especially the choices you make in thought, word, and belief. The idea that destiny is malleable is both liberating and terrifying. It means you have far more power than you've ever imagined. But it also means that if your current life doesn't reflect the joy, abundance, love, or purpose you long for, it's not fate's fault. It's a sign that you haven't yet fully activated the divine potential within you. Every thought you think, every word you speak, and every expectation you hold is a spiritual decision. These are not just passive experiences, they are creative acts. They carry the vibration that begins forming the structure of your future. Florence said, "The subconscious is impressed by repetition." This means that whatever you repeat consistently becomes a command to your destiny. If you repeatedly say, "I never have enough," that becomes your truth. If you instead affirm, "Divine abundance flows through me," then your destiny reshapes to match that new vibration. The divine does not impose itself on you. It waits to be called in. You must choose divine order. You must declare divine guidance. You must expect divine outcomes. That is how you realign your life in 48 hours, not by waiting, not by wishing, but by choosing. And not just once, but moment by moment, day by day. It's important to understand that making a spiritual choice is not always dramatic. You don't have to move across the world or start a new business overnight. Sometimes, the most powerful act of activating your destiny is as simple as choosing to respond with faith instead of fear. It might mean waking up and saying, "Today, I align with divine flow," or pausing in the middle of a worry spiral and saying, "I now choose peace." A Florence Scovel Shinn often spoke of the power of the spoken word. She would instruct her students to declare specific affirmations to shift their vibration and realign with their highest path. One of her most famous affirmations was, "Infinite Spirit, open the way for my right place, my right people, my right outcomes." Notice the clarity and intention behind that statement. It is not passive. It is deliberate, powerful, conscious. That's the energy that reprograms your reality. When you begin to understand that your destiny isn't fixed, you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" And you start asking, "What am I choosing, consciously or unconsciously, to allow this to continue?" That's not about blame. It's about radical spiritual responsibility. You don't get the destiny you hope for. You get the destiny you choose, affirm, and energetically embody. And this is where the power of the divine word comes into play. When you invoke the word, divine, you aren't just asking for help. You're declaring your identity as a spiritual being with access to universal laws. You're saying, "I now choose to live in alignment with the highest truth." That one word, divine, cuts through confusion. It dissolves the grip of old stories and false beliefs. It brings your awareness back to the truth that the future is not set. The path can change. The shift can happen. And it can begin in this very moment. Florence's work reminds us that there is no such thing as being stuck. There is only resistance to choosing differently. The moment you say, "I now align with divine order," you shift into a new spiritual timeline. Things begin to rearrange. Ideas come to you. People show up. Doors open. But none of that happens unless you first choose to call it in. The divine is not just a concept. It's a living, breathing presence that responds to your clarity. That's why a sincere, faith-filled declaration can do more for your life in 48 hours than months of struggle and fear. The divine doesn't respond to panic. It responds to principle. And when you declare, "I choose my divine destiny now," you set off a chain reaction that touches every corner of your life. So how do you begin? You start where you are, with the words you speak, with the choices you make, with the belief that no matter what has happened in your past, you are not bound to repeat it. You can reset your energy. You can align with truth. You can take the steering wheel of your life and move in the direction of miracles, not someday, but now. Your destiny is a field of infinite potential. It is not written in stone. It is written in vibration. It responds to your frequency. And your frequency shifts the moment you choose divine alignment over mental resistance. That one decision is enough to change everything. You were never meant to be a passive participant in your life. You were created to be a co-creator, a conscious architect of your own reality. Florence Scovel Shinn's teachings remind us that destiny is not fate. It is choice, repeated until it becomes truth. The word divine is your access point, your reset button, your spiritual activator. When you speak it, you are no longer asking life to happen for you. You are declaring your right to shape it. And when you do so consistently, with faith, and in alignment with higher laws, your entire reality will begin to reflect that divine choice. Not in years, not in months, but in as little as 48 hours. When we talk about the word divine, many assume it's only relevant in moments of spiritual contemplation, prayer, or ritual. But what if that one word held the key to transforming every area of your life? What if speaking and aligning with the divine could influence not just your inner peace, but your bank account, relationships, health, career, and even your day-to-day decisions? Florence Scovel Shinn's teachings insist on this truth, that every aspect of your reality is spiritual, and therefore, every part of it responds to spiritual law, and when you invoke the divine, that law gets activated with precision, power, and love. We are not separate from the universe. We live within a field of infinite intelligence, a divine matrix, as some call it, and this field listens. It listens to our thoughts, our emotions, and most importantly, our words. Florence emphasized that our words are not idle or meaningless. They are vibrational commands sent into the ethers, returning to us in the form of people, circumstances, health, finances, and timing. So when you speak the word divine, you don't just feel a sense of peace. You issue a frequency that organizes and aligns the circumstances of your life to mirror that peace. You see, the word divine carries a unique spiritual frequency. It represents perfection, harmony, truth, and higher order. When you say divine guidance, you open yourself to intuitive clarity. When you say divine timing, you free yourself from impatience and trust that everything will unfold at the right moment. When you speak divine right partner, you declare that your relationships will be chosen and led by a higher wisdom, not just fleeting attraction or emotional confusion. Take, for example, your financial life. Most people try to solve money issues with worry, control, or overwork, but Florence would instruct her students to say, divine substance is the only reality. This affirmation wasn't wishful thinking. It was a spiritual declaration that abundance is not earned by struggle, but revealed through alignment. When you speak the word divine over your finances, you are essentially saying, I release fear, I release lack, and I now align with the abundance that is already mine by spiritual law. And the results, often miraculous, unexpected checks in the mail, debts resolved without logical explanation, job offers that seem to fall from the sky. This isn't magic, it's metaphysical law. When your vibration shifts, your external reality follows. The divine doesn't delay, it responds instantly to clarity and faith. That's why 48 hours can be enough to witness a complete turnaround. Because the divine doesn't operate in human time, it operates in spiritual alignment. Let's look at another area, relationships. So many suffer in silence, repeating patterns of betrayal, abandonment, or codependency, thinking, maybe I'm just unlucky in love. But the truth is, these patterns are simply the result of unconscious vibrations being repeated. When you begin to speak divine words over your relationships, divine love now expresses through me. I attract my divine right partner. Divine harmony governs all my connections. You begin to magnetize a different kind of experience. You move out of toxic cycles and into sacred, empowering partnerships. The same principle applies to health. Illness is not just physical, it often begins as energetic imbalance. Florence would say, fear is the root of most disease. But when you speak divine health, you activate the intelligence within your cells, within your organs, within your very DNA. You are made of the same intelligent energy that created galaxies. That energy doesn't just want to heal you, it wants to restore you to your divine blueprint. And it begins the moment you align your thoughts and words accordingly. Even the seemingly mundane areas of life, like finding a home, making decisions, planning travel, or launching a business, are touched by the divine when invited. Florence would often say, I give thanks that the divine plan of my life now comes to pass under grace and in perfect ways. That one affirmation can reset the tone of your entire day. Suddenly, you're not striving. You're flowing. You're not forcing outcomes. You're allowing miracles. That's the power of invoking the divine in every corner of your life. There's no part of your life that is too small or too big for the divine to enter. And when you begin to live this way, speaking divine words, affirming divine truths, and trusting divine timing, your life begins to reflect spiritual order. Opportunities align, problems dissolve, clarity replaces confusion, love enters where fear used to reign. But there's a key here: you must be consistent. The spiritual law responds not just to occasional declarations, but to repetition with belief. Florence taught her students to persist in their affirmations until the outer matched the inner. Never take denial, she would say. If something wasn't showing up, it didn't mean it wasn't working. It just meant more alignment was needed. And this is why 48 hours can be so transformative. Not because the divine is limited to a timeline, but because 2 days of pure, focused, faith-filled declaration is often enough to dislodge resistance and allow a new reality to begin forming. In just 48 hours of speaking divine truth, your vibration can shift dramatically, and once that happens, life must respond. Your life is not separated into spiritual and material compartments. It is all spiritual. Your body, your money, your relationships, your career, they are all part of your sacred contract. And the divine wants to touch all of it. When you invite the divine into every area of your life, you don't just feel better, you live better. Circumstances rearrange. Opportunities multiply. Healing unfolds. And all of it can begin with one decision: to speak the divine word with conviction, to align every aspect of your life with higher truth. Do it for 48 hours, sincerely, persistently, faithfully, and you will witness the reset of your destiny.